Hey, how's it going, everybody? Tyler Walton from Tyler Walton Music, and we're back with episode 2 of my production breakdown for Crystal Myth's Abstract Mind Attack. We're moving on to the next track. We're going to jump right into this. If you saw the first episode, we talked about the title track, Abstract Mind Attack, primarily going into the production choices, the plugins, and generally like a very thorough how I went about making it sound the way that it sounded. It came out to be about 31 minutes. If you haven't seen it, please do so. It'll be in the playlist and also linked below. So do check that out. This one's probably not going to be as long as the first episode because we've already gone over a lot of the preset stuff that we saved going forward. So a lot of the stuff that we did on these EQs and compressors is we saved custom presets or batch presets, Myth Axe, Myth Bass, Myth Drums, HIV Drums, HIV Bass, which we'll get into that song later on. And then we were calling it up on subsequent tracks to kind of go through and try to move from there. So we probably won't be so in depth, but as you can see here, we do have some cool automated automation that we kind of worked with. And I think this is kind of what this track really what the one thing I'm really proud of with this track is the automation and the hard volume gates that I made. And it's something complex, it's something complicated, but it was a design choice because I wanted to get a very hard like a volume stop, like a noise gate, but without using a noise gate. So let's just hit play. And get into it, and you'll hear what I'm talking about. You see these drums right up front here. So here we go.
I want to touch you. I want to feel you. I want to know you. I want to hold you.
Heavy bass here. So I mean, this is a slamming track. So let's just quick talk about the production, like the production side on the mixer, and then we'll get into the automation here, and then we can keep it moving. So let's do that. Let's pull this back up, like this. Okay. So as you can see here, down here also we used this import for the Crazies was actually the master session for Abstract Mind Attack because we kind of liked what we had going on, so we just kind of imported everything in instead of having to recreate some stuff. We did do some stuff different with the voice, and we'll get to that here momentarily. So our drums, obviously, we're busing everything out to this auxiliary channel here. Same thing. The only thing that we did is we kind of brought in the drums, obviously plus minus 15. And then the compressor's over here as well, but the compressor was there previously. So everything is being bussed to this drum comp here, and then it's the same stuff. We're not doing anything too wildly different here. Yep, HIV drums is the same here. We did some tweaking, obviously, as you can see here. It's not just the high pass. We got the high pass. We wanted to keep these peaks down, so you can see where it wants to bump right in this area. You can really see where it's trying to like throttle up above zero. So it's going from pretty much 1.2 down to or up to 168.5, 169. So we want to keep that down. But this is just the HIV drum set that we used on the song HIV. And then we tweaked from there. We wanted to bring the cymbals up just a little bit, give the cymbals a little bit more presence. And then on the compressor is pretty much the same. We didn't want to change anything. Slow parallel drums, drum comp 2, and then I made the threshold at minus 32.7, minus 33-ish. This is still gained up to about 8 decibels from Abstract Mind Attack. And yeah, that's it. Make them punchy. That's the goal. Moving on to the bass. The same exact situation with the bass here. The difference is it's identically the same as you can see. This bass riff up here is really cool. So let's bring this out, and you can kind of hear this. That bass riff is so sick and it's so heavy, so we kind of brought it down just a little bit because it was quite loud. It was peaking from where it's at up here, and then that's pretty much it for right there. Guitars, we're keeping the same. Obviously, I don't know why that's down there. We can move that up right there. There we go. Yep, panned all the way out. We're still using Myth Axe. Yep. Same as Abstract Mind Attack there. No effects. No effects. Very proud of this. The guitars sound killer. These guitars sound so killer. And the one thing I'm really, really proud of with this EQ is that you can hear the pick attack. So, I was told that they were down picking all the palm mutes. I don't know if that's true or not. It's really hard to tell, obviously, without physically putting eyes on it. I will say as a guitar player that when you're down picking, and this is the James Hetfield effect as well, is when you're down picking really fast, that kind of leads to a heavier sound. Whereas if you're alternate picking, it's less heavy. Still 100% effective, obviously. But that pick attack, we can hear that pick attack with those fast chugs going into the chords. And I'm super proud that we were able to kind of bring that out with the EQ. So, yeah, so there's that. We have these hard stops up here, which correspond with the vocals.
Next to you.
Run that back. Actually, there's this really cool Alice in Chains style lick going into that hard volume gate.
That's how they taught me. I'm psycho. That's what they call me. I'm psycho. I know you want me. I know you need me. I know you feel me in my room, right next to you.
And then it smacks right when the guitars are the drums come back in. Let's listen to that one more time. That's such a cool that da 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 da. I'm tone deaf, so please don't hate me. But that it's with the way that the vocals kind of mimic that descending phrase on the guitars, it really feels kind of Alice in Chains, kind of grungy.
Psycho! I know you want me. I know you need me. I know you feel me in my room, right next to you.
That just slams, and you can hear the double bass leading into that thing. I'm so proud of this. This is probably my favorite track out of the whole album. Let's fast forward to this next part here before we get to the guitar solo. Alright, drums. No reverb. There's no reverb on any of these tracks. You can see here, I'm showing you absolutely everything. This is bus to this comp. There's no reverb. And yet this has so much natural reverb because of the space and the way the overheads were set up. I love it. Hear the cowbell? Okay, so now let's go to the guitar lead, and then we'll bring it back to the voice. So this guitar lead peaks really hard, so we had to drop the volume pretty considerably. And again, on the guitar lead, we're doing a tape delay, and then the same EQ and compressor. This tape delay, I don't think is doing too much difference. Yeah, it's the user default patch. We're only giving you just a tiny, just a skosh of tape delay, and it's 20% wet. This isn't really affecting anything. It's just providing not like an out of phase effect. We just wanted to kind of give you a tiny, tiny tail on the end of like the sustain notes, but not so much that there's so much happening that when he's shredding that it's making this delay infused muddy mess. We just wanted to kind of provide that tiny little tail on the end of like the sustain notes, which took a little bit of time. As you can see, it's minuscule at best.
Because I'm dying to tear it apart.
Let's back this up. I hate to stop during a guitar solo, but let's just listen to the guitar solo soloed. Soloed, haha. And you can kind of hear what's going on here. And again, I'm really kind of stoked at how we were able to articulate the pick attack so cleanly here. Kind of hear like what we were trying to go for with that reverb tail. Just a bitchin' guitar solo. What can I say? I didn't write it, nor did I play it. Okay, so as we can see here, really quick at the end, we did a hard volume gate here. I think the guitar is kind of feeding back over here. Moving on to the vocals, it's kind of the same situation that we set up with Abstract Mind Attack. It's the same mix chain. We turned down the reverb for this one. But as you can see down here, we have this purple line for the wet parameter. This is the delay. So Eric wanted specific spots to be delayed and other spots to not be, kind of like a creative choice, if you will. And I'll also note, because I forgot to mention this on the previous episode, Eric was here the entire time. He was here in my space, in my studio space, right behind me, just kind of, calling audibles and play calling the entire time. And it was a really great experience of working directly with a client on what the client wanted. And again, Eric, when you see this, absolute pleasure to work with you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So yeah, there's some kind of automated tape delay function on the main vocal track. Beyond that, It's virtually identical with the addition of some slight reverb. Nothing too insane. As you can see here, we're hard cutting a lot of the low end out. Here. And this is actually set up to mimic the EQ, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's not precise, but it gets the job done. You know, like that. And then we'll listen to this last little stanza here.
I'm a psycho, that's what they call me. I'm a psycho, that's how they taught me. I'm a psycho, that's what they call me. I'm a psycho, I know you want me. I know you need me. I know you feel me in my room, right next to you.
So this tail right here, it was up here. I had to chop it, bring it down here, and isolate it because he wanted it to be everything to be cut off, and then that, right next to you to kind of have like a whispery, growly kind of vibe to it, and then have it almost soloed out. As you can see, nothing else is playing. Everything hard cuts to give space to that last little line.
Right next to you.
Boom. That's it. And yeah, so that's really it. I know this episode's not as long as the previous one, but we've already really gone over most of the production stuff that we used. The only other thing that we didn't talk about, and this is my fault, I forgot to talk about it, was the mastering chain. In the mastering chain is pretty much going to be standard across the board with everything else. So instead of using Ozone 8, we use a channel EQ. I use the channel EQ on this not to do anything other than to provide eyes on what's happening. I only wanted to have like a visual representation of where everything is sitting, so that's why I had that equipped. Ozone 8 is used on other songs. On this one, we turned it off, and then we use tonal balance control. Again, just more eyes on. That gives us kind of a, hey, you're in the right area. Hey, you need to kind of tweak the lower mids. So as you can see, the high mids are kind of peaking up a little bit, and the low mids are kind of dropping down. But for the most part, we're in the sweet spot. The lows and highs are in the sweet spot, and everything is looking pretty solid there. Now it's adjusting to my voice. So let's cut that. Insight 2, again, more eyes on. This kind of gives us our loudness. It's not a limiter, but it kind of functions similar to like visually what a limiter is. So you see the luff sound right here, the loudness right here. We wanted this to be right in the spot of -16 to -17. And that's where we got it. That took a lot of work. And then we have this EQ down here, which is just a limiter. It's not even a real EQ. Again, we're just doing a vintage limiter. We use the preset analog glue. Now, I've never used this limiter. Usually, I like to use, actually, I'll open it up. I like to use Logic Pro's or Apple's in the box limiter, which is the adaptive limiter right here. I like to use this one a lot, and for the most part, on most of my orchestral stuff and everything like that, I'm using this. I really like this limiter. This is the one that I learned on in college. But when I took on this project, I had just gotten Isotope's audio production suite, so I was like, well, let's use this stuff I just spent all this money on, as one is known to do. And really, there's so many presets here that I wanted to kind of play around and kind of see what this could do. So I was comfortable using this analog glue preset and just kind of seeing what it could do. Now, when I'm doing mastering, and this is a point of contention, different producers are going to say different things. Generally speaking, and this is just me, my goal with mastering is to get the master out in the range of -3 and -1. I want a little bit of headroom, but not so much, right? We want it loud, but not clipping, and we want a little bit of headroom so it has some space to breathe. So -3 to -1. If I can fit the master, like the stereo out in between that range, mission accomplished. So as you can see, we peak a little bit, but it always comes back down. So, and that's why we want those headrooms, because the snare is a little hot. I love how the snare sounds, and because it's a little hot, it is gonna kind of hit the top of the bar here. It's gonna kind of peak out toward unity gain or 0. So that's kind of where we're at. And then as a general rule of thumb, this was also kind of taught to me in college at Full Sail University. Never pan stereo out and never touch this. I am never touching this volume fader. It stays at unity gain. So, yep, that is Crazies, the next track off of Abstract Mind Attack. I hope you enjoyed it. This was probably my favorite one to do out of the whole entire bunch. And we're going to keep it moving. I'll see you soon for episode 3. My name is Tyler Walton from Tyler Walton Music. If you like this, please let me know what you liked about it. If you didn't like it, please let me know how I can do better. I look forward to hearing from you, both on Instagram and on YouTube. And I'll see you soon. Stay safe out there.